Geoffrey, how do you spell that?
With a G.
Okay, so like Geoffrey. Okay, great.
Yep.
Nice to meet you, Geoffrey. I'm sorry, how did you pronounce it?
It's Geoffrey.
Geoffrey.
Yeah,
Okay.
either way.
Well, so, first of all, which God do you believe in?
Tough question. How about I'll rephrase it. I'm a preacher's kid, so
Okay.
born and raised. Christianity, Pentecostal, Baptist, mixture.
Okay, great. Okay, so you believe that Jesus is the Savior, and there's a God in heaven. That's
the Trinity.
The Trinity. Okay, great.
That's the realm I'm in.
Okay, great. And if you could put a number on that, from 0 being no confidence in your belief to 100%, 100 being completely certain in your belief that that is true, what would you be at?
From 1 to 10?
From 0 to 100.
Oh, 0 to 100?
Yes. I like to give people a little room.
I'd probably say like a 90.2.
Okay, so in the 90s, all right. Okay, that's okay.
It's like an A minus.
Okay, that's great.
Still
That helps me because so like I said, I'm out here interviewing folks on their beliefs and how they came to them. So you mentioned that you were raised in that faith, and so you continue it into your adulthood.
Sort of, yeah.
At the 90% level.
That's why there's a 10%.
Right,
gap.
that's good. So then my next question would be, how do you know that it's true? I mean, because 90 is definitely above 50, right? So you act in your life as if it's true?
It's one of those things where like you can get excerpts from any like belief or any religion and kind of like prove or disapprove what you believe in. But for me personally, there was just one act or that I personally saw, and it was my mother. It was like the one conviction that she was diagnosed with a stage 3 terminal cancer back in 2003. Doctors from Duke doctors like, you have 6 months to live, like you're done.
Right.
Just go ahead and get your will done. You're gonna lose your hair, like everything. Go through all that stuff. That was back in 03.
I forgot to start my timer, just so you
Yikes.
know. I'm listening to you, but I want to also give you
timing me too.
the 5-minute limit. So go ahead. Okay, so your mother, I'm sorry, she's
long story
diagnosed.
short, she's alive.
Okay.
This proved everybody didn't lose their hair. It was like a complete opposite. It was 360 degree of what people thought. And the only justification for that is faith. That's really all we had to hang on with. And that for me was like more than enough to believe that there's a higher power out there.
Okay, and so if I may ask, how did you use faith to know that that is what saved your mom?
Well, faith in the sense that I was believing in it. So believing that hope, that slim chance that, you know what, if there is something out there higher power than mankind.
Okay.
And if it's gonna happen, then do it, and that happens. So I personally, that was like my.
Okay. So the fact that you and your family had faith that she would make it, and she did.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I'm 100% glad that your mom is alive and doing well. I think that's wonderful. And so, if you were to look at it from an outsider's perspective, how would you be able to tell that it was faith that got her through versus modern medicine or
That's exactly
luck?
it. It wasn't science, because science would have had her dead by now.
Because of what the doctors predicted?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
It was one of those, like, it's either black or white. Like,
Okay.
you do the science route, you would be technically dead. She would have expired in 6 months. Or
But did she do the doctor's treatments?
So it was mixed.
Okay.
What she went through wasn't what they want. Like the full, you know how when if you have familiarity with
Slight.
they have certain things like, oh, you're gonna go through chemo, right? There's steps, right? But she didn't do the whole process, the whole plan.
Okay.
I would say she probably did halfway, if that, and then was just like, you know what, I'm gonna put my hands in the Lord, and if that's His way, if I'm gonna have to go, then so be it.
So say there was another situation, say it was somebody you didn't know, a stranger, that had the same predictability from the doctors, from science, and but they had faith, the same as you, but that person didn't make it.
Didn't make it.
How would you account for that?
I would say that it was their time to go. It was their time to go.
Okay.
Doesn't mean I didn't have faith or they didn't have enough faith.
Right.
Sure, you had faith, or you do or you don't. To me, I would say it's like a hit or miss.
Okay. So in that situation, if we're saying that if somebody makes it and they had faith, then it was the faith. But if they have faith but they don't make it, it was just their time to go. How would you be able to differentiate faith from luck?
From luck?
or modern medicine failures or miracle, modern medicine miracles.
You're right. I would have to put it, go back to my original thing where if I look at science the way it was intended to go, I wouldn't have a mom.
Right.
And if we did it the way we did it, which was, let's believe in a little, something other than human brain logic.
Right. Okay.
That's what I would have to stand on. I can't really answer your question.
So is there really any way to know if faith works or is real versus luck or happenstance or just the way things go sometimes?
I wouldn't look at it as measuring faith like in a number, percentage, success rate. More is do you believe in, do you have the capacity to experience faith versus not having it, not measuring it.
So let's take one more situation, a third one, where say it was somebody who had the same diagnosis as your mom, did not believe, and they pulled through.
Oh, they pulled through.
How would you account for that in that situation? Do you think that could is that a possibility?
Sure, why not?
Okay, and so again, how would you be able to differentiate between whether it was the faith or the medical care or maybe the a partial misdiagnosis at the beginning? So I'm trying to find out from folks, and I've talked to lots of people, how would you be able to know it was the faith
versus luck
versus anything else? Because there's millions of possibilities, right, of what could happen. Maybe they had a slight misdiagnosis of the prognosis of her condition at the beginning, or there's so many different possibilities that I just haven't found from anybody how they would actually be able to know if it was
100%.
True or not.
Yeah, I wish I had the answer for you. But I guess
I guess what my ultimate question is on that is then, is faith a good way to make decisions about the world if you can't know if it was faith that had the outcome you wanted?
I would say yes. I'm not looking at the outcome because
we're at 5 minutes, but I'd love to talk more if you have more time.
I'll answer this in a minute because I think they're giving me the sign too. And I completely you asked. Okay, I would. Is
faith a reliable way to make decisions about the world?
If you're worried about outcomes and you're to make a decision based on faith because you're looking at the outcome or expecting an outcome, I wouldn't look at it that way, because the way I choose to see faith, experience faith, isn't looking at the outcome per se.
Okay.
It's more like the experience of I'm going to put myself aside and let someone else take control. Jesus, take the wheel. Let's put it that way.
Okay. But so then how do you differentiate Jesus from hope?
Well, not Jesus. Is Jesus not hope?
Okay, but so do you use hope to make, so you use hope to make decisions about the world? Like you hope something is true, you hope you're going to pass a test, you hope you won't get in a car accident, you hope.
Well, yeah, that's why, I take it into consideration when I pray. When I did take, every test I took, it's like, oh, Jesus, take the wheel, give me an A+ on this.
So you didn't study?
I'm going to rely on my knowledge, but
if you did study.
If you want to put some cherry on top and give me an A+, take over this.
So faith is the cherry on top of hope, or of your experience and your trust that you have, your confidence in yourself.
My 90% threshold, the 90.2 from the beginning, the first question.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So when you're really when you're invoking Jesus, take the wheel, on top of your studying that you've done, or on top of the medical treatments that your mom did choose over the ones she didn't choose, how can you know whether that had an actual effect or not on whether it's your test or your mom?
You can't measure an external force, specifically this external force.
So is there a way to know if it's true or not?
You have to believe. You either believe it or you don't.
Right, but does believing it make it true, or are you saying that are you saying you have to believe it in order for it to be true?
Because if you don't believe it, let's say everyone on this face of this earth decides not to believe it, how's the next generation going to know? So if it just takes one person to believe and pass it on, it'll be like a myth, right? If no one believes it, did it ever exist? So as long as one person believes it, carries it, or passes it along.
Yeah, but just like a myth, does the number of people believing it affect whether it's true or not?
Well, when you have, I would say the people who experience sort of like what I did in my situation, it'll be a situational. And I believe everyone comes to like a point in their life. I would say this is just out there. The majority of people come to a point in a situation in their life where they have the opportunity to experience something like this. Where like, you know what, this is out of my control. What is there to do? Where do you resort to? An external force.
Okay, so you're hoping or trusting or wishing that there was something more than what you can control. Right. So feeling powerless is what leads people to want to believe that there's something beyond their control.
That way, I guess. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that is where I guess I get to my question of how would you know which of those things that people around the world invoke to be that higher power? How do you know which one is true?
I can't. It's a good question. It's a great question.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, Geoffrey.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, guys. Have a great day. Appreciate it. I learned a lot. Thanks, Geoffrey.
Thank you.